So these are direct responses. What I said here against that. Against this, they said two things. So if you were the negative and this was going to be your speech, you would write this stuff during prep time. Okay. So then when you go up to speak, I would look at it and I'd say, against their this, I say this. Against this subpoint, I have two responses. It's already outlined on my paper, so I know what to say as like my organization. Against their first subpoint, I have two responses. First, second. After their second subpoint, or their second argument, I guess, I have one response. That argument is blank. Against their third bullet point, I have three responses. My first is blank. My second is blank. My third is blank. Against their fourth argument in contention one, I have two responses. My first is blank. My second is blank. So your organization, you need to create during prep time, or you need to make sure that you are writing down their responses in a structured way. Okay. We do the same for contention 2 and contention 3. Now, the affirmative is going to come back and respond to what the negative just said. So again, I'm going to write the response right next to it. I'm going to write this response there, this response there, this response there. Okay, so affirmative then, and this is pink, as you can see, hopefully you can see, and this is black. Every time a different team goes, you're in a different color. So I keep responding. This chain of argumentation keeps going speech by speech. Now down here, against the first subpoint, I responded. Against the second subpoint, I responded. Now I do these little lines personally because it helps me to see what I'm responding towards. Down here, you see there's just one line, and I put a little like point. And that shows me that I grouped these two arguments together, and I'm going to attack them together. You can group if the arguments are really similar, if they're getting to the same point, if you could attack them together. So I grouped those together, and that can save you time, and that's how I showed it on my flow. So I attacked 3, I attacked 2, I attacked 1. I did not attack this guy. So if I was the negative, in my prep time or during that speech, I'm going to do what we call extending. That means the affirmative dropped it. And if I draw this arrow in black in my negative speech, my next one, I know I'm going to need to say the affirmative dropped this argument. And that's why it's important. It's important that they dropped it because they didn't know how to respond to it, because it's true, something like that. Okay. All right. So then the negatives case goes here, and affirmative responses, negative rebuild. Okay. So let's say we are in Lincoln Douglas. Okay. Affirmative went, gave their case. The negative's first speech, to flow it, they're going to read their case first. So you flow it in the negatives column. And then they're going to say, to attack the affirmative, they're going to switch papers. They're going to attack the affirmative. So that would be in this column. Okay, so you're always going to just be paying attention to the road mapping and signposting of which piece of paper I'm going to use. All right, the second thing you want to make sure you're doing is you're labeling your columns. If you're struggling with structure, make sure you label them. Look, I just labeled neg, af, neg, af, neg. I also use the colors I'm going to flow in so that I remember that I need to switch pen colors. Okay. Make sure you do have two totally different pen colors. Now, it's kind of hard to see on the video, but this pink and this black, they look totally different. Before this video, I had a dark purple and like this pinky color, and they were too similar. So I switched out the purple for the blacks. So make sure they're very different. Never flow in black and blue. Never, ever flow in pencil. Always two totally different colors. And then finally, a good flow equals a good debater. If you do not have a good flow, then it's going to severely limit your ability to be a great debater because you will not be able to follow all of the arguments and all of the refutation. Just like any other skill, you have to practice this. The only time you're flowing is when you're in a debate round. You're never going to get better because you're always in that stressful environment. A good flow equals a good debater, and you need to practice. You can look on YouTube, you can look online, and just practice flowing rounds. And let me know if you have any questions, and good luck flowing.